Hello, Paulette Bernard here from the 65th Force Support Squadron, and welcome to another edition of Lajes Now. We're coming to you today from the totally delicious Cafe Bean, and it's summertime, and two things come to mind, for me anyway, for the summer. And one are these fabulous frozen blended drinks that our guests are all enjoying today. And you can get them here at the Cafe Bean. Now, I've chosen a mango, what is this? A mango raspberry twist.
It's a good one.
Bruno Noriega,
Nogueira.
Nogueira.
Yes, Nogueira.
Okay, what have you chosen?
I've chosen a dulce de leche, and
but you couldn't wait.
No, it's really good, so I started already. Halfway there.
Halfway there.
Hopefully it's going to hold until the end of the interview.
And you are from the safety office.
Yes.
And Ms. Rita Borsch, and you, thank you so much for coming. You are on the Praia organizing committee, yes. The Praia Fest organizing committee. And Master Sergeant Sean Jones, you are here to talk a little bit about safety at Praia Fest, because that's the second thing that comes to mind. It's one is having a wonderful, fabulous blended drink from the Cafe Bean, and two is Praia Fest. So, Bruno, you're here to tell us a little bit about the history of Praia Fest, yes. How it started.
Well, it started like everything else started on this island with an excuse to experience some good times among the family and be together with a bunch of people. Back in the old times, we didn't have this every year. There was times that, depending on the financial constraints, we didn't have any Praia Fest for a few years. There was only Angra Fest. Angra Fest was really big. And then we started alternating between Praia and Angra, who would have their own festivities. And it got to the point where we started growing so much. And keep in mind, it's August, it's when the weather is better. And our bay, as beautiful as it is, we started having enough population, enough tourism coming in that they started doing it every year. Now, during this time, our population almost doubles for that week. We have people coming from all over the world, and especially from the other islands in the Azores. So everybody that is on leave during that time, if they can spend the money, they'll try to come to Praia Fest. They can try a little bit of a bunch of things that they will have available to experience in that week.
And so can you give us an idea of what some of the events are, some of the festivities, the timeline of all of this? But let me ask you a question first.
Yes.
How is it that you became part of the Praia Fest organizing committee?
My sister was invited to organize it, and as she needs some help, she invited me and some friends to help organizing it.
To help organize it. So you're part of the organizing committee, and give us some ideas about what people can expect.
Okay, the fest starts on 1st August until the 11th, and it's 11 days of joy. It's we have a lot of events, cultural events, sports. We have the opening day, it's Saturday, the official opening day. We have parades. It's this year the title is Stage of My Life.
Oh, the stage of my life.
Yes, it's to honor all those who made possible over the years to do these fests. And then we have for children's, we have children's parades on Friday, and we have bullfights, traditional.
Right.
The carnival also on Tuesday, and it's a week full of
just a lot of events. Right. So there's a children's parade, and that is on what day?
Friday. Last Friday.
Okay. And then there's bullfights, and I know that there's concerts, right? And what else can people expect during the day? There's some sporting events, right?
Yes. And we have other activities, like we will have boat rides in the bay to know better the island, in this case,
Oh, okay,
Praia.
so boat rides, wow.
Yes. And other things for children, bouncing castles, pony rides. We'll have other activities. Any time of the day we have a lot what we want to do.
Okay, that sounds like a lot. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes.
And I know that people always look forward to Praia Fest. Lots to do, lots to eat,
Yes.
lots to drink, lots of fun. But there's a couple things that we need to watch out for, right? And some of those might be related to your area of expertise, and that is safety. So can you tell us, you've got lots of fun that's happening, but you know what? If you get hurt, it's not so much fun anymore.
It's usually not fun, and you miss out on this whole experience that
on all 11 days
that they have spent almost a year preparing for.
Right.
So that's definitely not what you want to do. People need to keep in mind, we want to put a positive spin on Praia Fest this year and ensure people go, and that's wing leadership perspective. We want people to go to Praia Fest and experience this awesome tradition. They're pretty much preparing for a year, and people need to take advantage of that, but do so in a safe manner, and keep in mind that you will have people from all over the world, different cultures, all socializing at the same time.
Right.
There's really good things that come from that experience, and there's some other challenges that we need to be, looking after and preparing for. The concerts, for instance, we had a wing commander that used to say it's the devil's tent. It's not the devil's tent. It's an awesome experience, but it's a place where a lot of people go to. We can have up to 10,000 people inside a tent.
10,000 people.
Yeah, and they're really good concerts. And you have heat that comes into play, and drinks, a lot of alcohol. And we used to do some measurements to see how many people we had in the tent a few years ago, and usually it's 4 people, 3.5 to 4 people by square meter. And last year we were able to see 6-7 people in the first half of a tent. So it's a lot of people.
That's tight.
If you're not comfortable with those types of spaces, crowded spaces, if you think you're going to need to go somewhere else really fast, that's not going to happen. It's not going to be as easy. And people are there to watch the concert, not to give in to your needs. So we need to watch for that and try not to place ourselves in a situation that we're going to miss out on the fun.
So as a first sergeant, you have some pretty awesome responsibilities in terms of making sure that people whom you're responsible for are safe, and you help them make the right decisions. And we talked about some potential hazards. I mean, a lot of people, different cultures, coming together, having a good time, and then you throw into that mix maybe some alcohol, and you're having a great time. But what are some of the things that you would suggest to Americans in terms of having a great time but being safe at the same time? And those are not two opposing thoughts. You can do both, right? So what are some tips that you might have?
Well, some tips that I have, or I have to offer, is one, for our airmen to realize that on or off the clock, they're airmen first. And keeping that airmen first concept in mind, we'll remember our core values. Integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. And staying grounded to our core values is the bedrock for our airmen to, one, have a safe time is what we want them to do, and be responsible while being safe and enjoying all the festivities that Praia Fest has to offer. With all the events that Praia Fest has to offer, there's also equal opportunity for our airmen to get in trouble. And that's what we don't want. We want them to have fun. We want them to have fun safely and responsibly. So remember the wingman concept. Understand that you are accountable for your fellow wingman. So keep each other safe. Look out for one another. look for signs of fatigue. 11 days of party, that's a lot. I'm used to like a weekend, a night,
Right,
but 11
11
straight days. Keep in mind that we're not conditioned, or we're conditioned, you know, to meet challenges,
right.
but
maybe
11
not this
straight
particular
days,
one.
exactly.
Right.
That's not the training we get.
Right.
So keep in mind, pace yourself.
Oh, pace yourself. Okay.
This is a marathon event. You know, it's not a sprint. So remember, you know, enjoy yourself.
Don't burn out.
Don't burn out.
Right.
You know? Don't burn out. And what fun is it when you burn out? You know, and always remember that being an airman first, we have a mission to do. So enjoy the evening. Be responsible and know that the next day you have a mission to take care of.
Oh, absolutely.
Get your rest.
Right. Get your rest.
Start over again.
And you know what? It's really a great opportunity to share time with friends. So when you go in a group, with a group of people, that makes it even all the more fun. And another opportunity to watch out for each other, because if you go as a group, you make sure that you leave as a group, or you know exactly, you know, where everybody is.
Well, that's a safety aspect. You know, you go in numbers, you keep an eye, because
right.
as Bruno was saying, thousands of people, specifically in a square meter, it's easy for an airman or individual to get lost. So going as a group, stay together, stay focused on one another, and
so
enjoy
thousands
yourself.
of people.
Yes.
Where do you park? You don't.
You have plenty of places. It's one thing that Praia usually doesn't have a big problem with. There's several open fields for the military members.
Right.
I'm not sure, but I think they're still going to have the TTU being open until...
You just have to show your ID.
Yep, until midnight, and then every hour until 4 in the morning usually. I don't know if this year is the same thing, but I'm assuming it's the same. And
4 in the morning.
and the streets are long. There's a lot of narrow streets in the center of Praia. There's always some streets that nobody parks in. And people can find those.
And the responsible aspect of it, seeing that there is going to be a lot of drinking involved, I would encourage our airmen to take a taxi cab.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Definitely keep taxi in the forefront. I mean, a backup plan, or let that be the primary plan.
Right.
Because not only do you have the drinking and driving aspect, you can eliminate by taking a taxi.
Right.
You minimize congestion, opportunity to get into an accident.
Right.
So take a taxi.
Take a taxi, and they're so inexpensive. And who wants to think about where you put the car? You're going to park it, and then you parked it in a spot you thought was fine, and then you try to get it out, and people are parked so close to you that you can't maneuver your car out. So a taxi is a really good idea. And the other thing, when I first got here years ago, and I forget where it is that I went on a taxi, but I actually wrote down my address on a business card and put it in my wallet. Number one is because I couldn't remember where I lived, but because I just got here, okay, let's make that clear. And number two, I couldn't really pronounce the street very well, and so it was real handy. I just pulled it out, handed it to the driver. He knew exactly where it was. So that might be something else that people might consider doing, especially if you live off base. We were talking earlier, and you said something that I found kind of interesting, and it's about being in the front row of the concert. There's certain behaviors or protocols that you have to be aware of. Maybe you can share that with our audience.
Yes, it can get having people from all over the world and from every island and all kinds of personalities. There are, although, some rules of engagement. For instance, in concerts, if you're in the front row and you're not enjoying the concert and you're just saying, "Oh, it's a boring concert," most likely somebody that is a really big fan of that band is not going to like to see you not enjoying, and that may actually be considered rude and disrespectful, an insult. Yes, that's definitely something you don't want to do. Also, if you're just enjoying so much that you're jumping up and down and over people, you may have other people that are just there to watch the concert and listen to the music and not really bump against people and may be offended. We see people pushing and shoving all the time. Usually in the last couple of years we haven't had any big problems, but we see startups, and that's definitely one of the things we want to avoid. sorry, you know.
Yeah, so you just have to kind of look around and see how people are reacting to what you're doing, you know.
Yes.
And it sounds like there's going to be so much to do. And one of my favorite things to do, of course, is to eat. So what kind of food can we expect, and where is that?
We have the gastronomy. It's some restaurants. It's always in the same space near the bay.
Right.
And we have other space with food, the Club Naval. It's small places. You can eat other traditional things and some seafood.
So
also.
Music, food, boat rides, parades,
Sports,
bullfights for 11 days. Just amazing. That's August 1 to August the 11th. So I started out the show talking about two things that were very important during the summer. One is these wonderful blended drinks from the Cafe Bean, and of course Praia Fest. And I have to ask you, what drink did you select?
Raspberry.
Oh, you got the
Yes.
the raspberry mocha. And how is? Oh, you have ice cream. I mean, not ice cream, but whipped cream on top of yours, right? And what did you choose?
I chose the spiced mango. And I haven't drank it too much because I want to be able to enjoy it.
Oh, you're going to savor it.
I'm savoring
Unlike some people who's...
It's been a long day.
and what a great way to end the day. And speaking of great ways to end, we do have a tradition here. We'd like to share that with you. So we want to encourage everybody to go to Praia Fest, have a great time, be safe because it's not fun if you're not safe, and it's just going to be a wonderful experience for everybody. So with that, I would like to say ciao.
Ciao.
From Lajes Now.
Now.
You're going to say it like an Italian, right?
The what?
Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao.
Oh, with a hand. Yes.
Yes. Italians.